So about a year ago now, I made this spatula in another video about making wood utensils. Thank you to all that watched that. I've been using it in my kitchen and absolutely loving it, so now I want to make one out of black walnut. I've also learned a ton about making wood kitchen utensils since then, particularly about the finish process, so I think we can make some improvements on this guy at the same time. So I've got these two templates. You could just free draw everything for this build, but I might sell these, so I decided to go with a template build so that if I want to do more, they'll all be the same. This edge template that I'm tracing now, I freehand drew in the laser program XCS that comes with the X-Tool machines, but you could just cut one out of paper or draw it every time once you get the idea of the sweeps that you're going for. Couple things about doing an edge cut like this on the bandsaw. Don't do it if you're not comfortable, first off. And you're going to want to make sure that you have very flat edges, especially the one that is riding the bandsaw table, so that the piece is nice and stable the whole time and you get a good cut. And don't be afraid to exit the piece if you have to, if the cut is starting to feel a little sketchy, and then flip it and come back from the other side. I tend to cut on the outside of the lines for this template. It looked a little skinny to me around the neck, so that's why I decided to cut that way. Not a bad habit anyway, though. So you can see how doing this edge cut first really guarantees a nice curvature to the piece. Then we're going to take our other template. I cut this one on the laser. You could just take a spatula and trace it, or freehand draw it. And take a minute to lay that out with the grain the best we can, and then it's back to the bandsaw for some more really quick cuts. It's really satisfying how much like a spatula these look just from the two bandsaw cuts. This one's looking pretty close to my original spatula, but with a thicker neck, and that is one of the improvements I was looking to make on it. Now it's time to sand it, clean it up, and finishing touches. So I've got a sanding setup here with an 80 grit belt on one machine, and then my oscillating edge belt sander here has a higher grit on it. It's 180 at the moment. That'll get all the marks from the first one off. And then we go to hand sanding from there. I've found that the end of the belt here, the curved area, is really good for doing the shoulders of the spatula and for kind of reinforcing that curve that you got on the bandsaw. Over to the oscillating edge belt sander, we are gonna really just try to get the marks off from the other machine. We're not looking to remove too much material, but if you need to make some final adjustments to the shape, especially in the shoulder like I am now right here, now's a good time. So I love the way this is looking, and I think I'm going to go ahead and try to sell these. So hopefully at the time of posting this video, I'll have a listing up on Etsy. But I'm going to go ahead and get some blanks ready for cherry and maple versions as well. If you want, use the video chapters, skip ahead, and you can pick up right where we left off with that walnut spatula. All right, we've gone 80, 180. Now we're going to go 220 hand sanding. If you have a smallish power sander, like a random orbit sander or a palm sander, feel free to use that with a higher grit at this point. Nothing wrong with a sanding block. I like this one. It was really inexpensive and it's meant to kind of use your sanding discs off the random orbit sander. Whatever you use, now is the time to be thorough with the sanding. Make sure you hit every bit of surface area on this. So I'm going to teach you a crucial step for anything that's ever going to get wet and washed. So I went upstairs and ran these under the sink, got them all wet, and I raised the grain on them. So after they dry, I'm going to go ahead and sand them again at 220 very thoroughly. This is called raising the grain, and if you don't do it, the piece will feel very fuzzy after you wash it. Off camera, I hit these with 400 grit really quick. To get them ready for this tung oil, which I am currently soaking in a hot water bath so that it penetrates further into the piece. I do this for the first coat. Walrus oil, pure tung oil is what I'm using today. It is food safe, very easy to apply, and I think the most durable option. Feel free to share your finish process for stuff like this with me in the comments. I love hearing about it. So why tung oil instead of mineral oil? Basically, to keep it really short, mineral oil will wash out of the piece. It's really easy to apply, just like tung oil, but it washes right out. Tung oil actually polymerizes or hardens within the piece, acts like a wax, but doesn't get moved around like a wax once heat is introduced. So building coats of tung oil, it can take a little longer than something like a beeswax mineral oil blend, but it's worth it. It just takes a while. You know, you just got to invest the time in getting multiple coats built up. You can see it looks really nice. This will actually go to more of a matte finish than a glossy finish, especially if you only do one coat. If you do two coats, you'll get kind of a richer color and a little more of a gloss. If you really want that shine, you can throw a food grade wax over this stuff and keep reapplying that. So with oils like this, you want to let them penetrate the workpiece for 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the temperature. Hour is a good rule of thumb, and that's what I did here. So an hour later, I'm back with a lint-free, clean cloth, and I'm buffing these. I'm getting all the excess oil off and setting them up to cure. After this, they're going to hang out for a solid 24 hours at a reasonable temperature. Think like 65 and above, 70 and above maybe. And we're going to come back, we're going to make sure they're fully dry, and then we're going to give them another coat. These look great after just one coat. You could stop here, but I think there is a benefit to building coats of the tung oil, and it's pretty easy to do. So let's do it. I don't know, man. I might have to keep this walnut one rather than listing it. So you can see how the tung oil does cure up to be more of a matte finish. These have been drying for 24 hours after we last buffed them completely dry. So a full day of curing. And now we're going to hit them with 400 grit sandpaper, and we're going to hit them with another coat of tung oil after that. So if you take the time to do this, there's a very noticeable difference in how the piece feels. And it's just, I swear, once you get to 400 and you actually bother to do it in between coats, it's just like you pick up the spatula and it's just way nicer feeling in the hand than you would ever expect. So just like before, nice thin coat of the tung oil and remove the excess and let it cure for 24 hours. And this is what you get. You can see the color's a little deeper now, a little bit richer. Still a matte finish, not very shiny. You can add the wax again if you want that, but I want to thank you guys for joining me today, for hanging around, man. If you guys build something like this in the future, best of luck to you. Hope it comes out well. Thanks for watching.